Want to learn Spanish on Duolingo? Beware. Well, beware if you want to learn European Spanish, but if you want to learn South American Spanish, don't worry. But let's start at the beginning. If you saw my last video, you'll know that I started refreshing my Spanish after many years, decades of not using it. As with French, I decided to do this from Italian. The difference between my rusty French and my rusty Spanish is that I was actually a bilingual secretary in Spanish for about 8 years. So it should be easier, right? Considering I'd used Spanish much more recently than I'd used French, it's a lot more rusty. Many of the things have been a struggle to get into my head, even though I have been able to go through the lessons fairly quickly so far. If I get things wrong, it's usually because I've used Italian rather than Spanish, which is the right way round as far as I'm concerned. But why use Italian to learn Spanish rather than English, or for that matter, French? Spanish does sound a lot more like Italian, even though French is considered to be very slightly closer to Italian. So I thought I'd confront it head on. This is not a science-based choice, just a gut-based choice. But back to what I said at the beginning. I don't know if it's highlighted in the English version of learning Spanish on Duolingo, but there are no notes in the Italian to Spanish version. But it's very clear from the start that this is South American Spanish. Probably Mexican Spanish, because Duolingo is an American company, and there are a lot of Mexicans in the USA. You can easily tell this from the pronunciation because of the s sound rather than the th. So cerveza rather than cerveza. Occasionally you seem to hear the th pronunciation, but not very often, so I think that's probably just a glitch. So if you live in Europe and you want to learn European Spanish to go on holiday to Spain, then when you go into a place to buy your beer, you might get a few strange looks when you start to order in your South American hesitant Spanish. Or they might roll their eyes and think, "Estás aprendiendo español en Duolingo, no?" That pronunciation's probably still a bit off, perhaps a bit Italian sounding. So you'll need to learn the pronunciation elsewhere. You can use the European sounding pronunciation, you don't get penalised for it, which is what I'm trying to do. However, it's not only the pronunciation. Even in the first few weeks I noticed things that didn't sound right to me. Diario was used as the translation of giornale, a newspaper, and this didn't ring true. When I was leafing through a Spanish book I have, I saw the word periódico, and I thought, yeah, that's it. I was also given manejar for to drive. That's not European Spanish, that's definitely South American. European Spanish would be conducir. Then there was emparedado for sandwich. By this time, I thought I was going crazy, because that rang no bells at all. That would be because the word that I was used to was bocadillo. Of course, there could be many other words I'm being fed that I don't notice are South American rather than European Spanish. And then there's the teeny issue of South American Spanish not having the informal plural U form, which you do have in European Spanish. So you don't get tested on that at all. I'm not yet consuming much content in the language. I've found one blog I like, and I've got a few songs on Spotify, and that's about it. I want to get a bit more under my belt before I start doing things like reading books. And my library does have a small selection of Spanish books, so I can try those out when I feel I'm ready. I do still have 3 books I studied for A-level on my shelves, but those are physical books, and they have my notes all over them. And obviously, I was studying them for literature, so they're classics.